recaps of the different phone calls. Howie's calling his friend Brian. He's late all the time. I don't know if you heard me. What I was really looking for, and I tried to ask this multiple times, I'm looking for emotional cues, emotional repercussions from him being late, either for Howie or for Brian. And the reason why we want emotions are the why. Why is this a problem? That's what we parrot back when it's time to start marketing. So you didn't see me get any hooks from Howie about like why or what emotions, or it's just like, yeah, that's just how Brian is, right? And you saw, because there's no emotional tie, he also isn't very invested in finding a solution. Ola, on the other hand, she thought her sister was stressed. She was frustrated by it. She was missing her own class. So there were some emotional cues so that we can parrot them back and say, are you tired of your family members being stressed? Are your loved ones stressed all the time? Those sorts of things. Again, I don't know anything. I don't know what the pitch should be. My customers know what the pitch should be. And I just parrot it back to them. Yeah? You heard me, oh, yeah, question.
Did I hear her actually offer a price?
Yeah, she did offer a price. She said if it was for $5, that would be too much. This was along the lines of when I broke one of my own rules. I said, would you pay for blah, blah, blah? I don't care about her answer, except to sort of demonstrate to you guys, she said yes, even though she'd never bought an app for someone else before, which means she will not. Anyone who's concerned about...
Put that switcher behind you there.
Anyone who's concerned about changing behavior, you should take note. It takes a miracle to change someone's actual behavior. And in this case, I'm not in the business of miracles, so I know that she actually won't pay that. But I wanted to demonstrate to you guys that that's what happens in terms of bias when you ask for. But it can also be, if you saw in the case of Howie, where he said, I wouldn't buy it because Brian doesn't look at his cell phone when he's at home. So we did get a little bit of information. Again, it wasn't from Brian, the actual guy who was late, so we don't really know, and Howie thinks he knows Brian, but maybe not that well. What we care about is how actions Howie would do. Stories. Yes, they always start with stories. Stories are great because this is where we start to see patterns that you wouldn't get from interviews, or from surveys. So when this idea originally came out of, hey, I'm always late, which I don't know if you noticed, I was working on the slide deck as it was coming out here. I'm always late. Maybe I should build an app to help people be on time. I was doing interviews with people. Are you late? Are you late? Are you late? No. But you know who is late? My brother's always late. My boss is always late. My friend's always late. So this is the power of surveys. Surveys, the stories that we hear, that's where you can start collecting patterns and figure out what your customers know. If you're surveying, you sort of already think you know what's going on, and you're trying to elicit a little bit of information, but these interviews are really where the information comes. Okay, so I think we want to dive in, and what we want to do now is sit with each one of you. We're going to split up.
Yeah.
2 ways or 3?
3 ways. So
3 ways. We're going to take...
Dave will take this group, Justin will take this group, I'll do this group.
Okay, and then we're going to take your riskiest assumption. We're going to help you guys come up with an experiment, and that you guys can run over the next week or so, ideally, to figure out and start validating your ideas. Yes?
Doing it in person, if I was going to go, say, to like a PTA meeting or something, sit down with parents and talk with them, like you said, well, like if you give $10 for it, then you're going to get biased information, and you keep talking about the Northwest bias. Like, how do you get past, like, well, they just see me sitting there, and they're going to tell me what they think I want to hear. Like, if I'm just going to sit down and talk.
Well, so if you're face-to-face with someone, you probably don't have to give them money, especially if it's something about kids. But you might have to. You might. I don't know.
Well, I think I could just go to a meeting and just start chatting with people.
Yes.
But how do I get past that, knowing like, well, they're just being nice and telling me what they think I want to hear?
Well, lots of those conversations. So the thing is, there are folks who will be honest with you and make sure you just say, like, look, please tell me exactly how you feel. If you hate this, that's totally good. I want to know that too. And give people freedom to not say, oh, yes. And they tend to respond well to that.
But also remember, the questions that lead to bias are typically the would you or their opinion questions. You don't really care about that so much. What you care about is past behavior and what they're currently doing, what are problems, what are emotions. They're less likely to lie about the emotions they have in terms of, you know, what concerns do you have about your child? Oh, I'm afraid he can't get a job. Awesome. Afraid your child can't get a job? Right? Like that's what you need. So there's no bias there.
Okay.
Whereas
So, like,
if you
maybe,
said,
have you ever
would you do
paid
anything it takes to help your kid? No, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
Would
fine.
you sign your kid up for it?
Yeah.
Oh, would you pay? Yeah, right. But
Yeah, like have you ever paid for a class for them? or
Yes.
something?
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Have you ever?
Did you send them to camp? Did you, you know,
Exactly.
things that they, that are parallels to what
Okay.
they're talking about.
All right. So let's split up. I was gonna sit next to.